We are on race week already. It seems like the offseason has finally come to an end, even though it took forever for it to happen. Welcome into the NASCAR Pinty Series Power Hour here on G-Force TV. I am your wingman, Cam K, and this is a great week here in Ontario as we are ready to go for the NASCAR Pinty Series season opener, the NTN Bearing Ultimate Experience 250. I think I screwed that up. NTN Ultimate Bearing Experience 250 at Sunset Speedway. We are expecting a good crowd of NASCAR Pinty Series cars to be in the field for this weekend's event. Along with them is a pretty stacked hot rod field for the Bill Zardo Memorial Race. So we're definitely excited to see that. Repping Billy Zardo in the show tonight. So got to rep the grandson for this week's race at Sunset Speedway. Tonight on the show, we will go over some of the news that we have discovered and had released this week. There's still probably a lot more to come. And then we'll also have predictions and talking about last year and what we're looking forward to this year with our good friends Graydon Bunn and Regan McCauley. are insiders for the NASCAR Pinty's series. So, real exciting news for us. We're going to get going in the best way that we can. And that's to go through and check out the news that we have had this week. Well, let's get started because I am so excited to get talking about this. This is what we've been waiting for, the all off season, and still probably some stuff to come out, I would imagine. Typically there is the last week before the season starts. So let's take a quick look at what we've got in terms of news. We're going to start off with this amazing news that took place. How about the news that Team 3 Red has added a partner for this year with Alex Gannett. Now, this is not a new partner of sorts. They were on the car last year for Jake Sheridan. Asa Abloy, which is the company that you saw Yale Locks, was on this number 3 car to end the season. They were an associate on the EHR cars last year. They're expanding their partnership, and they have signed on to be the lead primary sponsor for the number 3 for Alex Gannett for 11 of the 14 races. Now, I myself would have loved to see this Jake Sheridan stick around in that 3 car, but I actually really like the move to have Alex Gannett in the car. Alex probably has some sponsorship that allows him to fulfill those races that Asa Abloy is not going to be able to cover as a primary partner, but you can't be upset when you see new partners come into the series. This is what we want to see. So Asa Abloy Door Security Solutions coming on board for 11 of 14 races. That's also something that I think teams are going to start looking for, is 1 to 2 race deals, potentially 3 to 4. It's hard to get 12 to 14 races worth of sponsorship. So even if you can get somebody week in and week out, that's great. So congratulations to Alex Gannett. Congratulations to EHR on getting a new partner for the year. We saw Daniel Bois out with the number 31 testing. We had some birthdays. Now, this was an interesting bit. If you're around the surrounding area, Canadian Tires, I believe, we never really got a confirmation as to which participating Canadian Tires there are, but if you're around the area of CTMP, Joel Robinson passed along, spend $50 at Canadian Tire and you get 2 free tickets to the Victoria Day weekend at CTMP. That's always a great deal there. We got a little bit of a look here at the 74 for the Napa Auto Parts Dodge here of Kevin Lacroix. Solid looking race car, and it definitely is going to be a good season for him with the Napa full time. That's always great, and I think for sure we can expect that we'll see that car up front just a bit this year for sure. Victoria Day is the holiday that we have here, Jim, for the May 2-4 weekend. So it's actually a long weekend. So that's the 74. We're going to see them this week. Of course, the hope for them is that they're going to get a championship this year. I did think that they were pretty close last year. We're also going to take a quick look here at the hauler for MBS Motorsports. Pretty solid. Now, the interesting thing is it's got access storage on the back, But you'll notice access storage is not featured on the car anywhere, so I'm curious how that's going to work. Maybe there's some sort of a partnership there. I'd like to see access storage on the car. They could be maybe on the back, on the tail of the car. Yeah, I'm curious to see what the reasoning is behind that. I mean, when we talk about beautiful race cars, this would be one of them. I absolutely love this car. This is Brandon McFarlane's 56. And I mean, I knew that they'd have a good looking piece. I didn't think it would look that good. So we're still waiting to see the number 23 Ocean X Chevrolet for Brandon McFarlane, but Josh Collins Racing coming out with a banger of a scheme right away. Absolutely love it. Is a great piece, and definitely nice to see the Josh Collins Racing team out once again for this year. They're going to run. The hope is that they're going to do all the ovals. They're still confirming. Maybe they'll get out there and do the Western races. Not 100% sure right now if that's going to be doable for them. Also news, of course, Trayton Lapsovich, if you don't know, NASCAR Pinty Series driver, he does have a YouTube channel. If you check it out, Trayton Lapsovich here, you can subscribe to it. Posted some in-lap footage from his test at Sunset Speedway. He'll hopefully be using that a little bit more this season. We'll get back to that in the future. Let's take a look here. You see that Legendary Motorcars got the 6 car, and we got a little bit more footage of that. How about B Squared Decals, good sponsor for Larry Jackson, helping out. So now you know the TV crew, Joel Robinson, going to be around in that golf cart that we'll see. Now this was it, the Josh Collins Racing team with the promotional video of all promotional videos. I mean, I love this. This is great. Building up the hype. Also, we're going to see you see the number fonts are going to be consistent between the 23 and the 56. This is very interesting. I definitely like to see the consistency between number fonts. I think that looks really it looks great to have that, similar to what you see with the 20 and the 22. Josh Collins Racing, you see winging it, and Ocean X, Make-A-Wish also featured on there. So I'm not sure what Make-A-Wish, what their situation is going to be with this team, but it's great to see a team from Newfoundland go out there 100%. The news as well, Jeff Lapsovich is going to be the crew chief for Trayton Lapsovich, and the belief is now that it's going to be Kyle Steckley and Scott Steckley as his crew chief, Jeff Lapsovich and Trayton Lapsovich. So father-son duos for both of those guys. Absolutely love it. Andrew Ranger was out testing. Look at the wraps on the 27 and the 0. Last year, I believe they shared their own hauler. This year, they're getting their own separate hauler each. Beautiful looking wrapped haulers. I would imagine one of these was probably the 64 or the 2 car from last year. And then, of course, we've got our breakdown events. We'll get back to that. Now, this was interesting from Evan Bunting. Evan Bunting works closely with the Clute team. I believe he's a crew member on the team there. And this is a big deal because he mentions here, first runs of the year, let's go 59, 42, and 6. I'm really hoping that we could get potentially the Legendary Motorcar team to get 3 cars in the race. We don't think we've seen that in a while. They used to do that more consistently, I think, back in the day. But now to have the 6, the 42, and the 59 all testing, maybe we'll see all 3 Clutes race at CTMP this year. That would be an awesome thing. It wasn't really expected, so that could help us potentially get to almost 30 cars for CTMP. We got the 96 was having a shakedown as well before they head out to Sunset Speedway. Thomas Nouveau, his welcome post, prepping that he is going out and having a pretty good season there. I think so. Wade, I would expect that it's going to be Gary and Ryan with Peter driving. Probably I don't know which one Peter would drive, but maybe they'll do the three. They might just be testing them just to shake the cars down. But Tagliani also has a return as well. Now, I'm a little bit interested here because what I'm not seeing here is a confirmation on who the partners are for Alex Tagliani yet. Now, obviously, he's not going to have to make that post if they're the same, but I'm curious. We have not seen the scheme yet for the number 18 car. Now, this was revealed just an hour ago that we posted on the page here, and this is Matthew Kingsbury in the number 12. Not going to be running more than 3 races this year in the NASCAR Pinty Series, which is a little bit sad to see. I wanted to see more out of that 12 car. Thought they had a lot of potential. They didn't have the best of runs last year. It was more of I think it was more of a disappointing season for them. I think they definitely had a lot more in the tank. But they right now are committed to running Chaudier, GP3R, and ICAR. So it is only going to be about 3 races, it looks like, for Matthew Kingsbury and company. So not going to attempt the race at Sunset Speedway. Not going to be at Delaware as well. It's true, Tim, they normally do, but I can't go off of that. I would imagine the hats, they were selling those at GP3R last year, so I think they'd be the same. If not, that's great. That means he's got the repeats, which, yeah, the Quick Wick, Tag, Viagra, Saint Aubert, those were the hats that they were selling last year. It looks like a really old canopy because it's got Lowe's on it, and it's also got the old 18 font. So I don't think we'll be seeing that on the car. I think we'd see maybe a bit more NTN bearings on there. So for sure, let's go and check the roster for what we're looking at potentially getting for CTMP for Sunset. Now, this is not an official. This is one that I've just compiled just by research. Let's take a look at what we've got here. So right now, Glenn Stiers, JP Bergeron, Alex Gannett. The 9 car, I believe it's going to be the number 9 with Brandon Watson. Todd Lewis said on Racing It Out that Watson would take the 64. I don't know if that's true or not. The belief is that it's going to be the 9 car, maybe with some support from Mark Dilley, but whether or not it's the 64, I am not sure. DJ Kennington, Alex Tagliani, of course, back. We don't know 100% what the partners are. Trayton Lapsevich is back. However, this is not a guaranteed full-time run. They need partnerships. It is something that they desperately need. Right now, I was talking with Trayton about this, and they definitely do need some support if they want to be able to make more than at least the first couple of races. They definitely need that support. They've got open spots there. So if you know any company there, definitely let's check them out. Kyle Steckley, this is one of his 4 races that he will be a part of this year. Brandon McFarland coming all the way out from Newfoundland. He is going to be a part of this race. And then, of course, Thomas Nouveau makes his debut in the series at Sunset Speedway. Andrew Ranger, Daniel Bois, LP Dumoulin, Josh Collins, Wallace Stacy. These are all returns. Kevin Lacroix, Donald Teach, Larry Jackson, Dexter Stacy, and Marc-Antoine Cameron. Now, Wade asks where the 98 is on there. No confirmation yet what's going to happen with the 98. I don't know who the driver is for this year. Don't know sponsorship. Don't know any of that. What their schedule is going to be this year. I believe there's some changes that have taken place at that team. So I don't think we're going to see everything there. Confirmation as well on that Evan Bunting posting that the Clute Legendary Motorcar team would be at CTMP to start their season. So that is not going to be, it doesn't look like we're going to see Gary Clute on the ovals this year. Potentially just back to doing CTMP and Toronto. He's got a young family at home now, so I could see that being the option there. And it also depends on partnerships, whether or not they have the funds to go out and do another full season. Which doesn't seem like it. I did write on here, it says other potentials being Matthew Kingsbury, Brian Cathcart, Sam Fellows. I don't believe that we're going to see any of those names at Sunset. DJ Kennington 28 car, I don't think we'll see that unless there is somebody that they have that has rented that car out. EHR 4th car, I don't expect that. And Brent Weller, that's a long shot. I think they're only going to be doing road courses. In terms of full-time, I think actually, Garrett, we're right around the same numbers. If we go back up to the actual schedule here, we had more names originally listed as full-timers last year, but this year it doesn't appear that that's going to be the case. I think we're right around, it looks pretty much like a smaller number. So let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, which is what it ended up being about last year. So that's not really a shock. We've got other guys that are making multiple races, but not a ton that are making all road course or all ovals. So there's definitely room for improvement here. I think what you'll see is the 28 of DJK back out a couple of times this year. We already know Ryan Dyson's going to be in it for Delaware. We already know that Wayne Hanlon Jr. is going to be in a DJK prepared car, not a DJK team, but a DJK prepared car. I would expect that we see Daniel Blois. Of course, they're running the road courses. They don't know really what's going to happen for the ovals. We've got a couple more names. Hopefully that'll pop up. That's always the thing that's interesting, is there's always a surprise factor. These are only ones that I know about. So there could be announcements made within the next day or so that will completely surprise me. So these are the hopefuls. We don't have confirmations really on a lot of people, but this is the situation, is that you kind of need partnerships to continue to grow. I know that the team behind the Pinty series is working hard at building those and building brands and building up the drivers. But as of right now, it would appear that we have an addition with Thomas Nouveau, but we also have some subtractions. As of right now, we don't have any confirmations on Mark Dilley, TJ Renamato. It doesn't look like they'd be back. Gary Calling, I 1,000% agree with you. I think Garrett Tiemersma would be one of the names that I would want in the Pinty series. Along with him would be like Elaine Zardo, Ray Morneau Jr., Josh Stoddy. I think there's a lot of potential for great guys to come up and run in this series. Michael Herniak Jr. out of the OSS, Brad Robinson out of the OSS. Just some local flavor in at least Ontario. That would be great to see for sure. Potential returns for David Thorndike. Haven't seen him in a while, so hopefully we'll get to see him. We do have a confirmation that Jocelyn Facteau will be back. To what degree, we're not 100% sure. Here's the multiple select races. We know Trevor Monahan. We know Matthew Kingsbury, Kyle Steckley, Brandon McFarland, Daniel Blois, Chantal Kalika, Josh Collins, Donald Teach, Jacques Gannett Sr., that's Alex Gannett's grandfather, and Matthew Scannell are all going to be expected in multiple races. At least one race is expected for Wayne Hanlon Jr., Ryan Dyson, Dave Bailey, Michael Gowdy, Ken Schrader, and Aaron Turkey. Aaron has confirmed he will be back. We had confirmation from Clinton Jeffrey on Ken Schrader and Michael Gowdy and Dave Bailey. Ryan Dyson already confirmed on social media, and Wayne Hanlon Jr. is already confirmed on social media that that's going to happen. Now, in terms of unknowns, this is what I have guesstimated what we've got right now in terms of unknown status. Ray Morneau Jr., I think the only place we would probably see him would be Delaware. Same with Justin Arsenault in terms of ICAR. JF Dumoulin, GP3R is the likelihood for him. with Jacques Villeneuve, he is racing in the World Endurance Championship, so I don't expect that he is going to be available. Alex Labay is a definite possibility. There is 2 cars full now at Dave Jacobs Racing, so I'm not 100% sure if that they would do a 3rd car. TJ Renamato, I don't think we're going to expect to see him. There's been no sort of announcement there. Brett Taylor, no announcement. Dominic St. Cyr, Peter and Ryan Clute, they typically do a couple of starts. I would expect that we'll see them. I'm not expecting to see Ray Cordemosh or Rafael Lessard, only because they typically would have their announcements done already. LP Montour, not really sure what's happening with him. Obviously, Trayton Lapsovit. Jason White has confirmed when we spoke to him during our live stream on the page that it is no longer looking like he is going to be able to do a NASCAR Pinty Series start this year. Sarah Thorne, Matt Shirley, Jamie Krizik, we probably expect him. Simone Dionvian, we do expect in some capacity. Gary Clute, Brent Weller, Mark Dilley, David Thorndike, Brian Cathcart, and Sam Fellows. So that's kind of where we're looking right now. Now, we did have other guys be a part of our show tonight, and we're going to bring them on and have them talk with us. Regan McCauley, who you saw on the show a couple of weeks ago, he was a part of things, and of course, my buddy Graydon Bunn to talk all about the NASCAR Pinty Series. Let's bring them on and hear what we had to discuss. Also, guys, if you can, just let me know if the volume does not work on this, and we'll try to figure it out. So here on the NASCAR Pinty Series Power Hour, I am joined by 2 of my favorite people in the NASCAR Pinty Series world.
Oh, man.
Well, I guess maybe more than just NASCAR Pinty Series, right? Graydon Bunn and Regan McCauley are here, both experts in NASCAR Pinty Series, longtime fans.
Ooh,
Experts. We're bringing on
enthusiasts.
Experts, enthusiasts, fans.
Look at us go, hey, Regan?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're moving up in the world, folks. But we're here because it is finally race week. This has been the longest off season I think I've ever felt. And maybe it's just because last year the season was really good. The championship did get kind of wrapped up a little earlier than I think we would have hoped, but I don't know what your guys' expectations was of last year, but I think that was probably one of our best NASCAR Pinty Series seasons. The championship, like I said, until that point was hotly contested. Lots of people involved in the top 5 and top 10. The talent was extreme throughout the entire field. And even towards the back of the field, you had like a mini championship between Brian Cathcart, Wallace Stacy, and Glenn Stiers, which led for countless entertaining races and getting to hear them talk about their races afterwards. I remember Wallace and Glenn and Brian all talking about Toronto. Wallace is absolutely hilarious. So, but I'm gonna start with we'll start with Regan. And how did last year go for you in terms of what you thought of the season?
Oh, definitely a step up especially after 2021, because we were just getting out of the pandemic and restrictions were starting to slowly drift away. But I mean, back like last year, like we were returning to familiar circuits that we had missed for so long. We created like a great new wave of drivers with some young guns coming through, and all the rising field counts that we got. Like again, like back in Western and Atlantic Canada for the first time since 2019, there wasn't a single race that had less than 20 cars entered. And again, a bunch of promising newcomers. And, there's all the silly season stuff that went on, especially with GM Paillet. And we all know how that turned out with Marc-Antoine Cameron, of course. But all of that led into a fantastic season. I personally would believe that I came in at a pretty good time for doing videos and all that. So, but yeah, no, it was a fantastic year. Definitely would be my favorite of all the years that I've watched so far in my time watching the series. And I'm going to look back fondly, and we can only go up from here.
And of course, old smooth Graydon Bunn. We got to go to several races, and 2021 was one thing. I think we could tell we got a season, but it was very compact. It was squished between, I think it was like 2 months that the season, 2 or 3 months that it felt like it was really squished. And we didn't get the season started until I think was it June or August? I think it may have been when we actually started to get everything together. And last year we actually got a full season spread out again. It was the first time going out to Eastbound Park. I don't know what you thought, but I think overall, a lot of great additions to the series.
First of all, albeit that season felt condensed, but it was almost it would be parallel to what the Cup Series, like the big guys down Southfield, where it's like week after week after week, and I kind of like the pace of it. But I mean, it's not for what our series is. It's not sustainable because I mean, provinces aren't like states where they're just like 3 and 4 hours apart. You got to drive for days to get from one province to the other. So while that happened, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool, that hectic bustle. Not that these guys and girls don't bust their asses to get where they're going in a traditional season. But last season was awesome in terms of, to Regan's point, the car counts were as big as we've ever seen in the series since NASCAR moved into town. And it's the parity. I mean, manufacturers aren't really such a big thing in Canada. You wear a body, but I mean, the guys like the Paillet guys they beat the Chevy drum loud and proud. Our pal DJ, he beats the Dodge drum loud and proud. And it's the series is as many American people have to explain it. American beat reporters have to explain it to the crowds in the U.S. what the Pinty series is. And they don't always do an articulate job of exactly what it is. But I mean, it's the pinnacle of NASCAR racing in Canada. And it's cool to see the now Mustangs with the Jacobs boys and Thomas Neveu coming in. Neveu, sorry, I didn't mean to butcher his name.
Strike one.
Strike one. It's going to be good to see guys like that and pairing with legendary names like the Jacobs name that dates back to the CASCAR roots. It's nice to see the mingling of the modern with the CASCAR roots, as I say. I mean, you have the Jacobs still in existence and still competing, and that's great to, like, the American. I keep going back to that because it is a NASCAR series. We, as much as you don't want to compare it, you have to, because that's the parent company. And we have our roots, we have our CASCAR roots, and the Steckleys and the Hackinsons and the Jacobs, they're all still there. The Lapsevitches, like, the names are still there, and they mean as much to everybody now as they did then. Some of the other guys have moved to different areas. The Herniaks of the world go to the USS series. But I mean, to hear those names come up in the modern era, it's a good time to be a NASCAR fan and a racing fan in Canada.
I mean, it's definitely true. They've covered the bases, really. And what we're seeing here is a natural succession in terms of a ladder system right now, in that we are seeing the APC series be able to be a great proving ground for the stars of this series in the future. I mean, we've seen Shea Gemmel, Ray Morneau Jr., definitely Kyle Steckley, Trayton Lapsevich, Brandon Watson. All of these guys come into this series and are immediately successful. It isn't so much a struggle for them. So we are seeing a plan of succession there. Whether or not we can get more corporate support, obviously that's going to take time. But I think having a guy in charge, and a guy that we already know of, Tony Spiteri, being in charge as NASCAR GM, You're also going to have a changing of the guard and a new series director, not formally announced yet, but we know that there is a new series director there. I'll leave it to NASCAR to announce that if they choose to. But as of right now, their hard work is going to be seen not now. We know that Tony's plan was not for this year. It is 2024, I think, is when we're going to start seeing a lot of big stuff, because a lot of the stuff for 2023 was already set in place. Right?
You got to walk before you run too. I mean, he's just getting into the swing of things.
Absolutely. And we know that it takes a while, but Regan, there's been a lot of moves so far in this offseason. Obviously, we talked about Thomas Nouveau. He's coming into the series for the first time as a rookie. But there's we talked about this. I had you on the program before to talk about Brandon McFarland and Josh Collins coming in, a 2-car team out of Newfoundland running the ovals. But there's other names, obviously, that are in this series for 2023. What are some of the names that you're looking at, either to have a breakout year or continued success?
Well, yeah, I know. Obviously, we've seen with especially Trayton Lapsevich having a bit of difficulties with sponsorship and all that. That definitely would be tragic if we couldn't get a guy like him going full time this year, because his on track abilities and his personality are both something that this series needs, so we can continue that like parity balance between the young guns and the veterans. Because back in like the older years, like years back, it was always kind of just a veteran thing. Like you wouldn't really get young drivers, just either because of finances or maybe the system was just kind of messed up. But now we're seeing something different here. So it would be disappointing to see something like that happen with Trayton Lapsevich. But there's also, again, like Thomas Nouveau, or however you say his name. Like, it's nice to see him. Yeah, that's definitely not a name I was expecting to see be announced into the series, not one bit. And I think it's definitely going to be very intriguing to see him take on such a challenge after being all into all the open wheel sports cars, all that.
Well, who 2 guys that came into this series, they came from open wheel that do pretty darn good, right? Andrew Ranger winning as driver, and then you've got to add Kevin Lacroix, who came in a little bit later, but he also adapted very well. So Thomas Nouveau is coming in this, I think,
Keg's done all right for himself too.
Fair enough. But I think out of those names, Thomas is actually younger than all of them when he's coming into this series. So that could potentially give a ton more future for him. I mean, he is going to be doing
it's an advantage to him for sure.
I would definitely, and with the same team that Andrew Ranger won 2 championships with in Dave Jacobs Racing, with a Ford.
Good call.
I don't know. I like that combination.
That sexy Mustang.
Yeah. Now, so far though, there's only 2. There's only 2. Yep. And again, so Regan, I did cut you off. So who else are you talking about for this year?
Well, yes, obviously going back to Brendan McFarland, Josh Collins, we're getting that Atlantic Canada representation out there, which is something that we've been practically dying for a long time after we, of course, lost Riverside to the pandemic. And then afterwards, just all the financial stuff that was going on there. And then eventually, we get to Newfoundland. The first race there ends up being successful. A lot of storylines there, but again, we're getting that representation out here because it's really just all been like Western Canada and like Central Canada that's always getting the spotlight. So now we're getting something over here. We're getting our opportunity to shine. I mean, it's only, the way I'll put it is, it's only the beginning. Like, again, we're really preparing for a year like 2024 where things could really step up. And you were saying there too, like there were things that were originally prepared for this year that are actually going to be next year. And for example, that goes into the conversation of Riverside again. If we can get Eastbound and Riverside on the schedule next year, then that will be even more of a brilliant, like another step in getting Atlantic Canada the representation that it deserves.
Absolutely. And we know, like I said, the reason why I say that 24 plan is so it's set in stone, because Tony has decided, and their plan is to get the schedule out for 2024 this summer. And that is so key, because it is so hard to find partnerships, and you have to do it within the time span of corporate Canada. And as a guy like Tony would know, he would know when budgets are done. He would know when that type of stuff has to be discussed. And we can't wait until October and November for the following year's budget, because most companies, it's already done by then. Graydon, this year, obviously, we talked. Regan's talked about some of the names. Who do you have your eyes on? I know one of them, but I'm curious to hear you see if you're actually going to say it.
In terms of
who is somebody you're going to be watching for this year?
Man,
we do talk a lot about this, so it could be many people.
It's such a, you can make a case for so many drivers. I mean, we saw, I have to mention it, and I don't mean to be biased about it, but DJ made some serious life choices in terms of diet, activity, and he was going to show these young bucks that us 40 plus guys can still hang with them. And last year, I mean, Marc-Antoine Cameron did kind of take everyone to the woodshed and pull away by the end of the season, but I'll be damned if DJ didn't look pretty awful good all season long. I mean, he was reminiscent of the Castrol kid. I mean, this is a guy that's won that 2012 season where he set the world on fire and like went on that hot streak of 5 in a row and I think 7 in the season. Like in a 12 race season at the time, I mean, that like it doesn't, that's Jimmy Johnson dominance, like absolute beatings. And when you see that guy, as I say, like he made a decision. I'm sure it's not just racing motivated as a father. I mean, he's making choices for his wife and his daughter and his son. But also, I mean, behind that wheel, he wants to be as aggressive and as DJ as we know him to be. So, I mean, it was cool to see him last year. I expect to see more of that this year. Andrew Ranger is...
This is the name that you were talking about.
Yeah, this is the guy. I mean, Andrew Ranger, I think that whole recipe is something for success, where when we were at Whitey's shop this wintertime, they disclosed the information. They were sort of contracting operations from what they had been. And I think it was great to see them go as big as they did and give the opportunities to the stable that they did. But at the same time, as I've said to you many, like, who knows Andrew Ranger better than Dave White? I mean,
yeah,
when it's a little more of a proportion of one on, you know, like the whole operation has condensed, and it's Andrew and Glenn in there, and Glenn is hungry for to kind of keep that learning curve going. So I think that's a hungry group, and I think that's going to be a team to watch. Absolutely. I mean, and Whitey and that whole team are not stopping in terms of the research and development of their chassis work, making the cars faster. And that goes for anyone that's running White chassis. I mean, and McCall's are no different either. I mean, it's always a moving target that you're trying to hit in terms of making the cars faster. So, man, I don't know who to put my finger on. I mean, LP's going to be hungry. You're wearing his hat right now. I mean,
there's a reason why I'm wearing LP's, because he had his, I don't know when the last time he had a winless season was. Maybe it was the year before he won the championship again, but he had been struggling. And last year was a very uncharacteristic LP Dumoulin season.
Yes.
And we know that he's capable of winning every single week.
The championship hangover season, maybe, or
maybe. I think the real situation there was Robin McCluskey going over to Paillet Racing, and then Paillet all of a sudden has this dominant season. I mean, we know that just the right chemistry can work, and maybe that's what Marc-Antoine Cameron needed. Is he needed chemistry with a crew chief and maybe running their own operation. For myself, I personally think that number 3 car with Alex Gannett, and I'm getting the points. I'm
I
getting the
wanted to
points.
bring him up. I wanted to bring
Yes.
his name in because I was a Jason Hathaway fan when I was younger, and seeing a guy like Alex
same.
Bennett, especially with his performance at GP3R and his overall
Yeah.
personality and everything, watching him in victory lane, all emotional and everything, seeing him get into that number 3 car with Ed Hackinson racing, I have high hopes. I really do, especially for that number 3 car.
They do have a new primary sponsor as well, an Assa Abloy,
Yes.
which was the Yale Locks company. That was Yale Locks is the brand. I don't know if it's going to be featuring the Yale on the hood anymore, but it's going to look drastically different because I was expecting that we would see a Moto Elimite completely number 3 car, but that's not what they've got up there. And
yeah, they're red too.
Exactly. And maybe we'll get a fusion of like red and yellow. I don't know because they haven't revealed the car yet. So one of the things that I think we're really excited about is seeing potentially Team 3 Red get that 3 car back up front, because it has been a tough couple of years for them. And in 2019, we saw the emergence of Brett Taylor in the 46. He looked like he was going to be a great shoe-in, and it didn't seem to work, unfortunately. And so this year, I like the idea of having Alex Canet there. I like having Dexter Stacy return. I like having consistency there. And we saw Dexter get his 3rd place finish at CTMP. We got to speak to him afterwards, and now he's getting opportunities to run. He's coming off a really bad wreck at Talladega, but he made the field and he qualified with a super lap. His confidence is probably at an all-time high despite the wreck. So
yeah, there's fire in that belly for
and
sure.
Then how can we turn away and not talk about Kyle Steckley coming back into the APC series full-time and now into the Pinty series for, I believe he's doing 4 races again. He's doing road courses. And I talked to him. He's going to Toronto and CTMP in the fall, and adding on top of that this weekend at Sunset and then at Delaware. That's a solid start to a career. He finished almost on the podium. Actually, it was I believe it was the first race at Saskatoon. Cameron just beat him to the line. But then there's all sorts of other names: Donald Teague, Larry Jackson, Matthew Scannell is another somebody else I want to talk about for the road courses this year. But Donald Teague, always fast. And I think we saw in the finale at Delaware, he's not afraid to mix it up. And he could have wrecked Brandon Watson. He could have moved him to win that race. He didn't, because that's the type of racer the Don is. And I would call him the Don because literally the guy is business heavy. He's got the money, but
you don't mess with the Don.
You don't mess with the Don, huh? And Rafael Lessard found that out. You don't mess with the Don because he'll wreck you if you mess with him. So I love this. I mean, I absolutely love all the storylines coming into this year. 2 Oshweekend races, battle for the championship. I mean, Regan, what else can we say?
Well, actually, I just remember one other name that also saddens me to know that they're not going to be here. Gary Clute.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah. So as far as we know,
it hurts, man. It hurts.
It is not out of the question for races, but for full-time, unfortunately not. And I think that has to do a lot with the family life. Personally, I think he's got the young child at home now, which he's of course super excited about. But Sam Fellows also, we've not heard anything about Sam's future.
Yes.
And he's somebody else who I really was hoping that we would see like consistently, and we have. But I mean, it's been a couple of tough years for Jim Bray Racing. They've had a lot of mechanical issues. And that's always tough to see. I mean, Jim is the legend in this series, a legend across Canada, but the parity is there. The talent is there. We got names like Jocelyn Fecteau coming back, Simon Dionvienne coming back, Matthew Kingsbury coming back. While that's great, I love to see the Quebec drivers. We need to see more of those Ontario names. We need to see more of those Western Canada names. uh, especially when it comes to like the Matthew Shirley's, Chantel Kalikas. If we could get them out for Delaware, if we could get those names out for Delaware, that is always the biggest. I think that's our Jukasa now. And if we can make it as special as it was going to Jukasa, I don't see why we can't get 25 to 28. I mean, we were close, I think, last year. I think we may have gotten to 26 in the finale, but we could easily get 30 for the. I don't know if that's a good idea after we wrecked most of them, but we could easily get to 30. And then we could easily get to 30 on the road courses this year. I mean, early counts to me look like potentially up to 28 cars for CTMP. And we know like those races we typically do well, but GP3R, I think we could get to 30 as well. Now, prediction wise, this is always the tough part, because here on the Power Hour, we haven't gotten the opportunity before to do predictions with other people. And I think that we have to make predictions, and then at the end of the season, we'll see who came out on top here between the three of us. So I didn't prepare you guys ahead of time because I don't think you need to be prepared. I think this is something that we know. Regan's looking like,
I won't have the time to do my own personal video like I did last year, so I have set myself up a couple that I would be willing to share.
There we go. See, and that's what we're hoping for, hoping that people that are tuning in tonight, they'll also share their predictions. But Graydon, you and I already did our predictions on the SNS show, but this is a different show. So if you don't feel comfortable or confident,
so we don't have to lock in our answers.
We don't have to lock in our. We don't have to. I make the rules here. So I did pick. Who the heck did I pick? I was setting up for a great finish and I completely butchered it. But
what, the champion?
We're gonna go with the top three.
Okay.
Top three. Top three.
Ooh.
Now we did the top three on Stickers and Scuffs. And
I don't know if I can remember my podium now.
I can remember who your champion was. You had picked Ranger.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely remember that.
I had picked Lacroix over Cameron and Watson. I am not going to stay with that as my top three.
I'm not sure I'm going to lock into my top three either.
I am actually going to switch it up here.
Oh,
we shouldn't cheat like this, but I am actually going to go with Lacroix as the champion again over Cameron again. However, after the convincing that and the argument that Graydon made during our SNS show, I'm going to pick Andrew Ranger as third place as a three-way battle for the championship. Okay. I think, especially when you say that White Motorsports has contracted their operations, they're focusing on two cars, and I think Andrew Ranger getting most of the attention is a dangerous thing for the field.
Those boys are coming to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and they're all out of bubblegum.
We know for sure, and we know that Jeff and Dave White, they were not okay with how things went last year. Too many mechanical failures, too much work. So who are we going to go to next? Who's ready? So no one's jumping. So Regan, you're next.
My goodness. Okay. So I have a couple predictions before I get to the top three.
Okay.
All right. I'll start on this one. Alex Gannett wins at least one or two races.
I like that.
He will finish, I'm going to say, about top 8 in the standings.
Okay.
2 bonuses. He will win on an oval, and he finishes higher on the standings than LP Dumoulin.
Oh no, this is a hot take. I like this.
Yeah,
I don't know if our friends at Dumoulin competition will like this.
I hate that against Dumoulin because I love the guy. He's a great guy, and it sucked to see him go through a championship slump last year. But I'm just, with the parity coming into the field this year, with how competitive it's going to be, we saw that last year, and I wasn't even I was both surprised, but at the same time, I wasn't really surprised either for a guy like Dumoulin, and it sucks. But again, predictions are predictions. I just want to see what happens.
And I like, again, we also have to think about this. EHR is also retracting their field. They're not going for full
right.
cars.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
that's
a lot of advantage.
That's a lot of advantage. All right, Graydon Bunn.
So yeah,
hold on. I didn't get Regan didn't give us the top 3 yet.
Oh,
I'm still going with a couple of these. Okay.
Okay, here we go. Yeah.
I didn't write this one down, but I just thought of it. Dexter Stacy will get multiple podiums.
Ooh, I like this too.
You beat me to it. I was going to say that.
You're going to say that.
I have it in my notes. 392, multiple podiums.
Nice. Okay.
Awesome. I love the way you think.
Nice to know there's somebody else that thinks like you, eh, Graydon?
Oh man, I love it.
No, I'm not done with Graydon yet. I'm not done with him yet. There's something else in there eventually, and that gets to my top 3 soon. But okay. 2 predictions relating to races.
Okay.
I say there's going to be at least 2, or no, wait, hang on. Last year I said there would be 2 photo finishes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say 3 this year. 2 of them will be eastbound and Toronto.
Oh, Toronto.
Yes,
I like this.
There's been finishes where we've seen cars drag racing off that final corner, and I love them every time. So I'm going to go with that. This next one, I feel like everyone always has this one like bad prediction where like you don't, especially for a series like this, you do not want to see this happen. But I'm just going to say it. We're going to have a race where only about 10 cars take the checker flag.
See, I'm going to agree with you on that.
I'm
going to agree with you on that. And I think that finale is the place.
Okay.
Or we didn't see it last year. We talked about this, Graydon. They were really timid on the dirt last year. I don't think they're going to be timid on that second race.
5 wide at one point.
Yeah, I think they were playing it cool last year. I think that they're going to go pretty quiet in the first race, but that second race, we saw it at Delaware when they did double headers. They didn't mess around.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, Graydon. I think we're going to build to Regan's top 3. So what's your top 3, Graydon?
My top 3, it's a little bit deeper rooted. I think Brandon Watson showed a lot of people what he can do last year, especially at Delaware. I mean, taking the checkered flag, but knowing, is it public? Is it not? I don't know, but
about Brandon.
Yeah.
So what's public is that he's not back with White Motorsports.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Brandon Watson has been a quick study historically. The Pinty series, from everyone we've spoken to that has driven every other kind of race car that has come to that series, they're unlike anything they've ever driven. Even other NASCAR disciplines say that those cars are nothing like they've ever driven. But I think like Brandon Watson has taken to it well. So I think he's going to show a lot of people this year, and I think he can points race, and I think he has it in him for a podium finish in the season. So I'm going to call Brandon Watson my P3.
Oh, so we switched that. Okay.
Did we switch that? I don't remember
because I had him picked 3rd originally, and now you're going to take him 3rd. Okay. All right.
I'm sorry. I didn't. Okay.
It's okay.
But I don't believe there's going to be a severe championship hangover for the 96, but I don't think it's going to go back to back.
Okay.
Because he's got to play, like I said, we're talking about this White Motorsports, and I'm not deferring from my original answer. That 27.
So you're thinking a Paille 1-2 in the championship?
Wow.
Actually, that's not too far fetched.
Why wouldn't it be? I mean,
I don't blame you, actually.
If Rick Hendrick can finish 1-2 in NASCAR races in the Cup Series, I mean, JC Paillet can put together a team. And I mean, yeah, Ranger's kind of a satellite outfit, but I mean, it's not lost on the Paillet group that they needed to bring probably the GOAT of the NASCAR era into their fold. So, I mean, you got Andrew Ranger who can like carry a car on his back. If it's not at its best, Ranger can make it better than what it's performing. So, I mean, watch out for those guys. I also want to just say, I remarked on this earlier, but it might be different from my championship ranking. There's going to be a Tagliani resurgence where he will run up front and contend more than he has previously. There's been in an era where 22 Racing was like unbeatable on short tracks. And I think this year we did see like improvement on the bull rings and stuff last year. So I feel like that's going to take another step. Tag's going to hold his own and show him what he's got this year. So that kind of paints the brush. Like you said, Kyle's going to be turning right and left this year. Kyle has never disappointed in terms of his adaptability, especially when he moves to different disciplines. So company wide, I think they're going to have a good year, not just because they're our friends. Those guys are the best. I love them. So I wish nothing but the best for them, but I think we're going to see it. And to Regan's point, watch out for that 3 and 92, because I think they got multiple podiums up their sleeve this year. And Wallace, I mean, it's another year of another year better. I mean, you're going to teach that old dog's learning new tricks. Let's see him learn some more.
Well, we got to get Regan's top 3 here and the rest of his predictions before we wrap it up here.
Oh my. For third, I don't know whether to be different and actually have Cameron not make the top 3 or keep him in there, or go with DJ Kennington. I don't know. You know what? Screw it. I'll be different. Kennington, third.
Okay. All
Love
right.
the answer.
I'll be different. Number 2. This guy was so underrated last year. Many top 5s, or 4 top 5s, 9 top 10s, was fantastic in qualifying. And he had the second most laps led of anyone, and he didn't get a single DNF. He finally got the job done in the final race. Number 2 will be Brendan Watson.
Okay.
And number 1. This guy has had such a chaotic resume for drivers with championships in Pinty's history. And just like those years where this guy has a slump of a year, he's had plenty of them. He goes back and forth. He's either at the very top or he's some at the very bottom. But every time he's had those slumps, he comes right back and gets the job done. I'm pretty sure that was what was going on whenever this guy went to Rick Ware Racing. I'm not seeing this guy have a slump like he did last year. I remember the trauma, especially at Eastbound. Graydon, I'm on your side. It's Andrew Ranger this year.
I'm shut out.
I went with Kevin Lacroix last year, and that backfired. So,
well, me too. I called him as my preseason champion too.
Oh, we're both screwed.
Yeah, I think I've got Napa power finally for the full season. So, I like the idea of having those wild card predictions, though. That's fun. That you had there, Regan. I think that I'm going to throw out that we're going to get a surprise winner, in one of the 13 races. I think that we'll get a huge surprise for one of the dirt races. Somebody that maybe we weren't expecting to show up. I think MBS Motorsports will get onto the podium at some point this year. I think that the amount of mechanical failures will dip compared to what we've seen. Mm-hmm. I think they'll be a little bit better because remember there is the better engine program that they've started here. And I actually think that when we get out that we might see some record crowds this year. Whether it's eastbound, whether it's Delaware, whether it's CTMP, it certainly feels like momentum is on our side and people want to go and see racing this year. So we'll be back. Obviously, we'll have you guys back on for another one of these gab sessions, likely to break down races and talk about where the championship lies. Whether it's one of you, both of you, we're gonna expand the Power Hour to bring on more race fans, just like myself, and we are the wingmen of the NASCAR Pinty Series, and we can't wait to have you guys out at the racetrack. Regan McCauley, how can people find you on social media?
Well, yes, you can follow me with the name Riegser on Twitter, YouTube. I do TikTok as well. But yeah, I'll do my best this year. Obviously, I will be busy doing my own work with local track and also new regional series in my regions. So as the Atlantic Canada correspondent of the Stickers and Cup podcast, of course. But yeah, you can follow him. You can subscribe to me at Riegser on YouTube. We're very close to 800 subscribers. So go ahead and don't forget to do that. I will do my best to put out content as much as possible to continue building up the Pinty Series as per usual, like I did last year. And I can't wait to see what comes next. I can't wait to see all my predictions absolutely fail. And I can't wait for what will come next between the three of us, obviously.
Sounds great, Riegsy. And Graydon, how can we find you on social media now that you got to remember all this?
Oh, man. Yeah. Remember when I just did Twitter? It was so much easier. First of all, I just want to say, like we said this off air, this was the first time that Regan and I have kind of met. So, man, cheers to you, bud. That was a fun time. And yeah, so I'm on Twitter at Smooth Operator. You'll find the 88s inside the operator part. I don't know, search it. Yeah, Graydon Bunn on Facebook, and I think it's the same on Instagram too, right?
It is the same on Instagram.
And Regan McCauley here on Facebook as well.
There you go.
Forgot that one.
Yep. And we, of course, Stickers and Scuffs podcast. You can find us all across social media. You can find us doing all sorts of stuff around the Pinty Series, regional racing in Ontario. But definitely want to thank Regan McCauley, Graydon Bunn joining me here on the Power Hour. We will catch you all real soon. Back on the show, hopefully later in a couple of races.
You bet.
Can't thank those guys enough for coming on and chat with me about the season and you guys actually for we're checking this out. This is it, guys. This is season. Season starts this Saturday at Sunset Speedway. Get there. You want to get there within a reasonable time. One of the things that, if you haven't already, you could have got your tickets ahead of time. Sunset Speedway at Outlook.com, I believe it was. Grandstands open at 1:30. And the racing for the Pinty Series does not start until 7 o'clock. Okay, so qualifying is scheduled right now for 5 o'clock with the Pinty's race at 7. So those are the key numbers to pay attention to if you are going for the Pinty's only. There is going to be an autograph session. There is also going to be the Hot Rod Bill Zardo Memorial 46 lapper for $4,600. Right now, I believe there's 14 hot rods that are registered for that event. Hopefully, they'll get a couple more. I'd like to see 20. That would be a decent size. 20 hot rods, 20 Pinty cars. As of right now, like I said, looking like 20. Weather's looking pretty good, pretty decent. We will be there. The Stickers and Scuffs podcast will be there. We expect the Wide World of Motorsports. They will be there. Folks at GeForce TV will be there. Racing it out. Caitlin Patrick and Todd Lewis should also be there. Obviously, we'll see Todd Lewis and Caitlin there. Also, maybe we'll see Race Time Radio out there. Make sure you check it out. Flow Racing, it is available, subscription based. TSN Plus, I did get confirmation that is what it is on for TSN. I was told that it is still free on TSN Plus. It could be because it's still a preview. I'm not 100% sure, though. I haven't tried out TSN Plus, so definitely let me know, guys, if that does not work. And if you can, come on out to the race. Innisfil, Ontario. Tickets still available. You can definitely come on in. Enjoy yourself. There's going to be there's a beer garden. If there's a red flag, they have discounted prices on the beer. Sunset Speedway. Make sure you follow them on social media. They've been killing it this entire year. Really a big change in the way that they've showcased their tracks. So very, very fun stuff. Make sure you guys check in tomorrow on the Race Rivals Race Chat show with Clinton, Jeffrey, and Adam Ross. I'm sure they'll have a lead up to the Pinty series, and we're really excited to see that. And definitely keep it tuned all season long. Continue to do breakdowns. We'll try and get some other guys on the show as well. Have Regan and Graydon, of course, back on. If you can't join us, you can always replay us. We are available on GeForce TV. Subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up. That would be really appreciative. If you could give us a thumbs up, we really would appreciate that. It does go a long way with helping us with the YouTube algorithm and be seen by more and more racing fans. Definitely, guys, make sure you come out. And we've got predictions. I mean, for the race, it's kind of a crapshoot, but I'm going to go out and say that a lot of the people that we're hearing, I wouldn't be shocked to see Kyle Steckley up there, Trayton Lapsevich, Marc-Antoine Camerand up there, Alex Gannett. Of course, you can't count out DJ Kennington, Andrew Ranger, LP Dumoulin, Kevin Lacroix, Alex Tagliani. Literally, like half the field is competitive enough. So I'm going to go out and say that Donald Teege could be somebody that you have to watch. I'm going to say that potentially the pole sitter will be Brandon Watson. I'm going to go with him. And I'm actually going to go with Brandon Watson for the win as well. I think that he showcased that he's good at this racetrack. And I think a year under his belt, he'll be in the dominant fashion that we've seen time and time again. But I just want to thank each and every one of you guys that tunes in. We've done 44 episodes of this show already, 6 away from 50. That's unbelievable. And, the fact that GeForce believes in me and believes in the series, and we're going to continue to push the series all season long and into the off season and into 2024 and beyond. So make sure you guys keep it tuned. APC series also opens up their season a week from this Saturday on GeForce TV. So make sure you guys check it out for sure. We're going to go quickly take a look at the only thing that I think we had remaining, which is the breakdown of the actual event itself. Okay, so if we take a look at the actual event, the Big Z Memorial and NASCAR Pinty Series opener, May 13th, 2023. The gates open for the crews and the tech at 10 o'clock. Hot rod practice and NASCAR Pinty Series practice. Drivers meeting starts at 1:30. Gates grandstands will open at 1:30. At 1:40, the hot rod heats will start. They're going to have 2 rounds of heats, 8 cars per heat. I expect that they're going to have 7 in each. B main, probably not going to be needed. 10-minute intermission. Then the 46-lapper Big Z Memorial hot rod race. 5 o'clock NASCAR Pinty Series qualifying, and it will be a 1 car at a time qualifying. 5:40 to 6:20, you're going to get the NASCAR Pinty Series autograph session. Always a great opportunity to get some autographs, hero cards, and pictures. And then, of course, 6:45, we're going to start the introductions, and 7 o'clock they will go green. Make sure you guys definitely get out there and support the NASCAR Pinty Series, support all of those partners that are on the race cars and the drivers and teams. It is going to be one heck of a time. Come and find us. Myself, Graydon, will be at the race. Of course, to find a whole bunch of us out there doing interviews, and hopefully we'll be. I mean, we're fans. First and foremost, we don't need to be down in the infield getting scoops. We need to be out in the stands with the fans, showcasing and celebrating the series that it is. And we're excited to see each and every one of you guys out there. And again, come on out. If you can't, watch it on TV. Watch it on Flow Racing. If you can't catch it live, it's going to be available more than likely the week after on TSN. And, of course, we'll make sure to post that in the group. This has been the NASCAR Pinty Series Power Hour. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in, and let's get ready to go here. Season 2023 is set to go green, and we'll be back next week to break it all down for you here on GeForce TV.